The river used to be clear enough to see the stones at the bottom. Children swam in it after school, their laughter skipping across the surface. Fishermen rose before dawn, trusting the tides the way they trusted their own breath. The land smelled of mangroves, smoke, and rain. Life in the Niger Delta was never easy, but it was alive. Then the oil came. At first, it was only talk. Foreign companies drilling somewhere far away, promises of development whispered on radios. Later, the pipes arrived, cutting through forests and villages like scars. The oil flowed upward, away from the land, while the consequences stayed behind. The river turned dark. Fish floated belly up. Farms failed. The people complained. They wrote letters. They protested peacefully. Elders traveled long distances to speak to officials who nodded politely and did nothing. Oil money filled government buildings in distant cities, but in the Delta, roofs still leaked and schools still collapsed. The oil burned day and night in tall flames, lighting the sky, but not the homes. A boy named Boma grew up watching his father clean oil from fishing nets instead of fish. He learned early that the land that fed his ancestors now poisoned them. When his father fell sick, there was no clinic nearby, only pipelines guarded by soldiers. "Whose oil is this?" Boma once asked. No one answered. As years passed, anger hardened into resolve. Young men who had grown tired of begging picked up weapons instead of placards. They called themselves militants, not because they loved war, but because they felt unheard. They believed that if the government listened only to force, then force was the only language left. They sabotaged pipelines. They kidnapped oil workers. They demanded attention. The government responded with soldiers and gunboats. Villages were raided. Innocent people were caught between bullets and silence. Mothers buried sons on both sides of the conflict, fighters and civilians alike. The Delta became a battlefield, not for freedom alone, but for recognition. Boma joined the struggle not dreaming of power, but of clean water. He believed that if the oil stopped flowing, the government would finally see them. In the creeks at night, surrounded by mosquitoes and fear, he wondered when justice had become so loud and deadly. Years later, an amnesty was declared. Some militants laid down arms. Money was promised. Training programs were announced. The guns grew quieter, but the oil still flowed. Some lives improved. Many did not. The land remained wounded. Boma returned home older, carrying memories heavier than his body. The river was still dark, but children were swimming again, because children adapt faster than land. He stood by the water and understood something painful and true. The war was never just about oil. It was about being seen, about being counted, about a land asking not to be sacrificed for wealth it would never taste. The Niger Delta did not ask to be rich. It asked to be alive, and its story is still being written.